an entire existence. This custom is learning to act according to what you can master. By instructing yourself to reflect on what is in your control and directing your attention there, your actions generate results. It may sound like a simple, even self-evident notion, but it is easily overlooked or ignored. If you take the initial step to change some harmful behaviors, it could represent a turning point in your life. Before we continue, I invite you to like and share in the comments a word that symbolizes the inner strength you want to develop to achieve a truly prosperous and serene 2024. Now back to the video. So, how do you acquire this mindset, and how do you turn it into a habit? The solution can be found in Stoicism, whose goal is to help ordinary people like you and me achieve mental serenity and become stronger to face and overcome challenges. Even though it is an ancient philosophy, it can help us develop a habit capable of radically altering our lives, as its teachings are clear, simple to understand, easy to assimilate, and possible to practice, regardless of our situation or the adversities we face. The practice of Stoicism is a powerful tool for personal transformation, offering strategies to focus on what really matters. Based on these practices, in this video, we will discuss how to reflect and act according to what is really within your reach. And if you're new to the channel, help us bring this guidance to more people who need it. It's quite simple. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and comment. It's already a big help. If some of what we said made sense to you, let's now move on to the aspects that are under your control. Modify what you express. If you are over 20, you will agree with me that considering before speaking is something you wish you had learned and practiced earlier in life, which would certainly have avoided a lot of confusion, preserved many opportunities, and alleviated some sadness. However, most of us react and think quickly, acting impulsively, especially when something or someone affects our pride or hurts our ego. When we feel threatened or hurt in any way, our first reaction is to retaliate, responding in kind. We create different narratives in our minds, and a series of arguments justifying why we should be angry or offended. This generates more frustration, and we end up being dominated by the situation, allowing emotions to take over, as if it were a very strong wave that invades us completely, and we pour it all out with our words. We express what we are feeling, and later when we calm down, we realize how different the situation could have been if we had reflected calmly. This occurs because deep down we still retain a large part of our primitive instincts. Our mind reacts as if we were in past eras, when survival depended on quick decisions. Today, this speed is less crucial to our survival, but it still influences our behavior. And when we allow emotion to prevail, speaking without consideration, we lose control over the situation. Epictetus, philosopher, and one of the main exponents of Stoicism, reminds us that the only thing that distinguishes us from animals is our ability to reason. When we neglect or waste it, we lower ourselves to their level. The next time you feel your insecurities emerging, someone teasing you or something challenging you, Stoicism suggests a different approach, pausing before reacting. By giving yourself time to respond, whether it's a minute or 10 minutes if necessary, you create the opportunity to craft a thoughtful response rather than an instantaneous reaction to your feelings, or choose not to respond at all. Often, silence is the best response. Regardless of how diligently you strive to reflect and act, considering what you can control, from time to time you will allow your emotions to overwhelm you, for you are human and not infallible. And if it's still challenging to respond rationally, even after a few minutes of reflection, silence can represent a true manifestation of strength. This way, you develop your ability to remain calm under pressure. Establishing the habit of focusing on what you can control starts with learning to think before you speak. Practice mindfulness during conversations. Reflect before responding. Start with calmer conversations first and then move on to more meaningful conversations. Choosing to ponder before speaking helps us evolve into our most refined selves, demonstrating that true strength lies in controlling our own reactions, not the circumstances around us. Epictetus shared that philosophy is like a way of life, teaching us that it is not what happens to us, but how we react to it that matters. By honestly looking inside yourself, you can understand that how you react is truly under your control. Stoicism teaches that we can learn to interact with the world in a way that better reflects our natural humanity and uniqueness. Pondering before acting is not denying our identity or opting for silence, but rather learning to master our emotions and impulses, allowing us to progress into our most improved self. How you act, your level of effectiveness in life is under your control and is determined by what you do in your everyday life. We can deliberate about our actions consciously or not, act in response to something, or let life lead us. Either way, we are making a choice, just as when we speak without consideration, we relinquish our control. The same occurs when we act without considering, giving in to our impulses and emotions. As the philosopher E.P. teaches us, when we don't make our own choices, we end up living through the choices of others. To change our daily conduct, it is essential to reflect on the reason behind our actions. We often act automatically, reflecting what we have learned, believed, and valued. Therefore, to change, it is necessary to understand why we act the way we do. This involves looking inside yourself, not with judgment, but by asking questions about your actions and your motives. An illustrative example is a story in which a woman was preparing a ham for dinner and cut off the ends of the meat. Confused, the husband asked why she did that. She replied that was how her mother did it. That night, her mother came to dinner with them, and they took the opportunity to ask her why she cut off the ends of the ham. The answer was that it was because his mother baked it that way. They then decided to call their grandmother and ask why. The answer was, because my oven is small. This first step is crucial as it sets the stage for a profound change in our behavior. Understanding it clearly puts us on the right path to taking actions that are more aligned with who we want to be. The second step is to establish clear goals for the change we desire. Seneca said, "If you don't know where you want to go, no wind will be favorable." This means that without a clear goal, we don't know what we want, and we can't determine how to act. Many times we fail not because of a lack of courage or willpower, but because we cannot clearly define what we want. Your goals should be specific and realistic. For example, deciding to cultivate more patience. A well-defined goal would be to count to 10 before responding when something irritates us, and try to do this at least once a day for the next week. In a month, your mental control over staying calm will have increased, and by doing this gradually, you will have developed the habit of staying calm. Having goals makes it easier to make change. The SMART system, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals, is a tool that can help us. This method makes change more tangible and achievable, showing a clear path to follow. This means choosing to act in a specific way that you can measure your progress, that is achievable, that makes a difference in your life, and that is accomplished within a set deadline. When we know exactly what to do, we provide our brain with the stability it needs, saving energy that would otherwise be spent thinking about what we could do. This process changes our level of efficiency and increases our productivity. Putting these changes into practice on a daily basis means trying new things and perhaps changing some routines. For example, if you want to be more direct, you can start by practicing speaking more assertively in simple situations and avoiding beating around the bush. This helps you gain confidence and make this new way of acting a habit. Another example is when you want to control your finances. One strategy is to create a budget, recording all your expenses for the month. This helps you understand how you use your money. At first glance, it may seem meticulous. Write down even small expenses like a coffee or a snack bought on the street. But imagine that your house has some water leaks, and you only discover this when your water bill increases significantly. What would you do to find the problem? You would call a technician to locate and fix these leaks, wouldn't you? The principle is the same with finances. If we don't know where and how we spend, we end up using money without thinking. Controlling the way we act will influence every aspect of our lives: moral, financial, physical, social, and spiritual. Sometimes we try to change in specific areas, but end up losing control in others, as if we can only control ourselves in parts of our life and not as a whole. We wish to be ethically superior, but we do not take care of our bodies and our health. We aim to be more optimistic, but we lose control of our finances and spend without discretion. We decided to move forward, but we constantly gave in to some addiction. Learning to act on what we can control is taking responsibility for all our actions in life in a comprehensive way. Finally, it is essential to always consider how we are doing, celebrate achievements, and learn from mistakes. Changing behaviors is challenging. It is not something that occurs linearly or progressively. It will be challenging, and we will face setbacks. Viewing these moments as learning opportunities helps you move forward and continue trying to improve. When you get into the habit of focusing your thoughts and actions on what you can control, you begin to cultivate a healthy mindset, and this allows you to make progress in all aspects of your life. As this habit becomes stronger in your life, you will feel less and less irritable, anxious, and it will be less and less likely for negative emotions to take root. In this way, acting effectively becomes a habit. How you interpret and evaluate what occurs to you, all practices, meditations, and actions begin with training our attention on what we can control. And even if we do it automatically, our judgments and how we interpret what happens to us are under our complete control. With social networks, publications, stories, we are used to judging more and more quickly and automatically. I appreciate it. Oh, I didn't like it. How ugly. It's beautiful. But even with this intensive training and judgment that we have received in recent times, how we judge and how we interpret what happens to us is within our control. The first principle of practical Stoicism is this: we do not react to events, we react to our judgments about them, and the judgments depend on ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, writes to himself about this. If something external causes you distress, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment about it, and this you have the power to eliminate now. In the view of Stoicism, our experiences of joy, sadness, desires, and fears follow three stages. Something happens, we form a judgment or opinion about it, and then we react based on that judgment. Our task is to realize that between what happens and how we react, there is our judgment about the situation. Often, this judgment may not be logical, and it is possible to learn to control it by thinking more clearly. This means that we have the power to change our reaction, because we are the ones who decide how to interpret what happens around us. It all starts with the idea that the way we see the world is shaped by what we believe, our opinions, and what we think about it. In other words, our reactions are based on our judgments, and we have the power to change those judgments. Swiping your phone screen or picking fruit seems automatic, not something we judge, but Stoics consider it all an illusion. Stoicism teaches us to reflect on our thoughts, helping the mind to understand itself better. This idea becomes clearer when something only affects us mentally. Suppose someone insults you. The insult only matters if you decide it does. If it bothers you, it's because you chose to care about it, which is your choice. Instead, you could simply choose not to care, and the insult loses its force. Events do not force us to think and feel harmed about them. Only you are capable of doing this. We tend to think that we are reacting to what is happening in the world, but in reality, we are reacting to what is happening inside us. Sometimes, changing ourselves is more effective and smarter than trying to change the world. Stoics believe that our judgments about feelings create our experience of them. A Stoic philosopher reminds us that everything depends on our opinion. Ambition, luxury, greed, it's all based on how we see things. According to him, a person's unhappiness is directly proportional to how unhappy they believe they are. For example, physical pain or the flu are real sensations, but how we interpret them, how much they bother us, or the meaning they have depends on us. Our feelings of pain or pleasure increase or decrease as we talk to ourselves about them, or make deep, often unconscious judgments. Try to remember the last time you were sick with the flu. Apart from the discomfort, how much have you said to yourself, "I hate being sick. What a horrible flu. I don't like feeling this way." We make judgments so automatically that we often don't even realize it, underestimating the impact they have. But the Stoics realize this and encourage us to pay attention to them. The Stoics show that we can change how we judge things, and this can transform the way we live much more than we think. The goal of Stoicism is to make us aware of these judgments so that we can learn to manage them in the best way possible. How we interpret life events profoundly shapes how we see the world. We often don't even realize that this interpretation is influenced by our beliefs and past experiences. This is how some fears and traumas are born, grow, and take over our minds. Recognizing that we have the power to change our perspective is essential for true personal transformation. By challenging ourselves to look at situations in a new light, we can change our internal reality. Knowing that we can change this way of seeing things is the first step towards true improvement. Each of us has this psychological capacity to change and transform this understanding into a habit in our own lives. Your commitment, the pact you establish with yourself, is what drives you to absorb this knowledge and have the moral strength daily to apply it. Commitment means dedication. That is, once you dedicate yourself to something, you no longer have the freedom to do anything else. All changes, no matter how challenging and time-consuming, are possible. However, it is necessary that you have a commitment to your own life, that you learn to guide your will and have control over your desires. When we better control what we say, how we act, and how we interpret what happens to us, we have the opportunity to truly transform our lives. And when we change our lives, we automatically change the lives of everyone around us. Stoic philosophy employs mental practices combined with a set of values that can guide us toward our best selves. Developing a virtuous life actually leads to emotional wealth, a wealth that teaches us how to deal with our emotions. May you start practicing this new habit today, thinking and acting on what you can control. And if you've made it this far, comment gratitude. This way, you reaffirm your commitment to change. Now, to discover the power of Stoicism in your life through 6 challenges, watch the video to your left. Thanks for watching.